This is Democracy Manifest. What's up? It's a culture detective here, investigating your favorite albums. And today, I'm going to do my second review, and that would be the latest Backxwash album, I Lie Here Buried with My Rings and My Dresses. Born in Luxaxa, Zambia, now in Montreal, Canada, Backxwash is an industrial horrorcore rapper. And last year, she released God Has Nothing to Do with It, leave him out of it. And it is one of the most intense and bleak and horrifying album of 2020. It features really grimy, dirty, and abrasive industrial production. We have incredibly intense performances and somewhat dark and bleak lyrics. And similarly, we have this album, except I actually like this album even more because it is just even more watertight, and also I feel like the beats on this album are way more hippity hoppity, way more rap flavored. Therefore, Backxwash has so much more of a stronger flow on this album than on her previous album. But anyways, the album starts off with Purpose of Pain, which is basically, I think, a sampled spoken word piece where it's sort of layered on top of one another, and it's about pain, the purpose of pain, and then it kind of leads into the second track, Wail of the Banshee, where we have loud thumping beats, a grinding bass, and tortured shouts, and I think it is a really fantastic album opening, even though, sure, it does sound like the previous album, but it's still as solid as they come. However, the rest of the album is even better than these first two tracks. We have the title track where it starts off with these electronic glitches, and then we have these very raw and rough and driving guitars and just these very abrasive instrumentals. And also, this track features Ada Rook from Black Dresses, where she provides these really energetic screeches and screams on this track. And essentially, lyrically, this track is about oppression, and the performances are incredibly emotionally intense. And then we have the track Terror Packets, where we have these echoey cries, and these cries sort of work itself into the beats and sort of incorporate itself into the very slow and bleak drums and the dark pianos, and it just sort of creates this really kind of terrifying atmosphere, which is really nice. And lyrically, it is about pursuing a gender identity and feeling the fear and the dread. And this lyrical topic extends even further onto the next track, In Thy Holy Name, with its very horrorcore keyboard leads that I absolutely love. It's definitely one of the highlights of the album for me. Lyrically, it is about being LGBTQ underneath religion and feeling so much fear and dread from that because the religion is persecuting people from the LGBTQ community. And the second verse of this track talks about billionaires as well as just authority figures that just keeps destroying other people, like Obama and the likes. And what I love about this track is the incredibly intense rap flow, really. But the next track, Blood in the Water, is even more intense, and it's easily my favorite track off of the entire album. The track is intense, it is very tight, very fiery, and I really love the beat of this thing. And I just recently found out that this track is actually produced by Clipping. No wonder why I love it so much. The beats are really crispy, they're really crunchy, the chipmunk vocals mixed in the back just adds so much more texture into the track, and I really love that. And we have the track Song of Sinners, where we have once again these screaming and wailing performances, except they're just turned up to a 9 and a 10 on this track. The singing is really haunting, the chorus is really sticky, and we have more religious lyrics that are very intimidating. And then we have the track 666 in Luxaxa, and this track is sonically one of the most interesting tracks on the album in my opinion, where essentially the instrumentals of this track incorporate these African chants, and it's worked with a very abrasive tight beat that reminds me a lot of ex-military era death grips, and it's great. The sample chopping, the performance, it's all there. And then we have Nine Hells, where we have another really abrasive, bouncy beat, and the track essentially deals lyrically into addiction, drug abuse, and once again it ventures into downward spirals. And finally, of course, Backxwash saves the strongest to the last, with the track Burn to Ashes, where everything's turned up to 11, where we have the most dramatic screams and shouts. The instrumentals are incredibly dramatic and climactic, and we have the darkest lyrics on the entire album turning up on this track, talking about suicide, suicidal thoughts, and we also get these triple flows throughout this track, and as well as many other tracks on the album. And usually triple flows are somewhat relaxing, but when Backxwash does it, it's just so friggin' intense, and that's actually kind of awesome. So yeah, Backxwash latest album actually even better than the previous one, and this has got to be one of my favorite albums of the year so far. My favorite track is Blood in the Water, and my least favorite track, probably the album opener, Purpose of Pain. I'm giving Backxwash I Lie Here Buried with My Rings and My Dresses a strong 8 out of 10. So, have you listened to the latest Backxwash album from 1 to 10? How much did you rate it? Like, and subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching. I will review Migos Culture 3 tomorrow, and then, as soon as possible, Tyler, the Creator's new album, Call Me If You Get Lost.